we do ask you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. So if anyone did have public comment they'd like to make, if they could raise their hand, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with Rick Pantelli.
Thank you. I've sent everyone an email. I'm going to roughly go over them. Not going to read the whole thing, but I just have some comments as they relate to the cannabis rules and regulations and to these meetings. I would like to ask if we could possibly consider having a little bit more time on the conversation, the discussion between the city and the stakeholders, and consider not one Zoom meeting before an ordinance goes before the city council, but possibly two. I've explained it in my brief to everyone, but it gives everyone, especially some of the stuff we discovered, to go back and think about it or actually grasp it and then come back and be able to weigh in on it. I would also like some of the wordage to be cleaned up a little bit. There's a word feasible in there that relates to taxes and fines. And that word feasible it has no limit. So again, I will send these all to you. As far as the renewable energy, my proposal is pretty simple, that this is something I believe we all want. The city wants renewable energy, and the stakeholders and all business owners want renewable energy. But I believe the city has the power to go out and get us some partners to work with, find us the renewable energy experts that will partner with us, with the city, with the stakeholders, so that the onus of putting renewable energy on these buildings isn't solely left on the business owners. I think it's in the city's best interest to create a partnership with renewable energy, the stakeholders, and the city to move this along. And then I proposed some timelines as far as if you're already in the loop or you're already an operator. I believe that you should have time to get your renewable energy plan together, and I've broken it down into 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. And I believe that the smaller operators should have 3 years, the medium operators 2 years, and the larger operators 1 year to comply with the renewable energy. And I also feel, as it's listed in my notes here, that there is room for some exemptions for structural space, redundancy, and building planning studies. So mostly what I'd like to do is keep everything fair as far as fees go. I don't think that a person that owns a 2,000 square foot facility should pay the same amount of fees as a large facility. And if I am making miscomments when I speak, like I'm saying something that's already not factual, then I apologize for that. But right now, the basis of what I see is that it's a flat fee for all businesses. With that said, I did put together a 3-page report. I'm happy to send it to anyone that would like it. And I've sent it on to Veronica if she wants to forward it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else have public comments today? Okay. With that being said, then I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Our first item is the proposed cannabis code enforcement fine schedule. I want to start by letting everyone know that none of these violations are new. They were taken directly from our code. And when we adopted the revisions it was actually almost 2 years ago, in November 2019, we didn't categorize the penalties into minor, moderate, or severe. We basically stated first offense, second offense, third offense, and assigned a dollar amount. So what we did is we met with members of our police department and our investigator who sat on the DA task force, and we categorized the violations. Now, we are aware that the state did introduce their own fine schedule, and they did classify their violations. We will review these again, and another draft will be sent out. However, we were very adamant when we discussed this at that time in November that we wanted the violations and the fine amounts to be strict, similar to vacation rentals, because we do take this industry very serious. As you're aware, vacation rentals, there's no warnings. If you're in violation, you're in violation. That's not to be said that we won't make any changes to what we propose. This is simply a proposal, but we do have the ability under our local control to set the fine amounts, in that manner. And the reason we did receive a comment asking about our third strike, like our third violation being set at 25,000 across the board. That was after a lot of discussion with our police department and investigators. If someone's not doing something right and they have to be cited a third time, we wanted it to be the maximum penalty because it wasn't corrected the first 2 times it was requested. So there is further discussion that we could have on that. We welcome your comments if you choose to make them via email, or if you'd like to send us a comment now, feel free to raise your hand. We're happy to discuss it, but we do want to let everyone know that we do take this very serious. We do want to ensure that all of our businesses are compliant. The code enforcement that was adopted for this fiscal year will be enforcing this code. So there won't be any additional fees assessed to our permit holders to enforce this penalty, to enforce these violations. This was already considered when we were reviewing the budget, and that's one of the reasons why we asked for the dedicated cannabis code compliance officers. So if anyone had any questions, I welcome you to raise your hand and we can answer them at this time. Guys are making this really easy for us today. We normally have much more feedback. Then with that being said, like I said, I welcome any emails you have if you want to take some more time to look at it. If you did not receive the list of violations with proposed fees, you can just comment in your email. We'll be happy to send them to you. I'm going to hand this over then to Jay Takis from 15,000 to discuss our odor control enforcement, provide an update of where we are and where we're going and what we're doing to ensure that the community has faith in what we are proposing and moving forward and doing at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Can everybody, I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you, Veronica. Yeah, so the update is we are, everybody, the codes and standards ready to move as the city of Palm Springs and other jurisdictions are. Today was actually a watershed day, as a matter of fact. Today, ACG, which is the nation's leading commissioning certifying agency, released a set of standards, odor mitigation systems, and that is going to be right before we and ACG together release the odor mitigation standards that will be set to be the new national standards for everybody, including the city of Palm Springs. So right now, as of October 26th, when the draft issue of the standards is supposed to be issued, which includes enforcement and monitoring and compels at jurisdictional requirements, whether to be able to monitor through construction process, that'll have to be adopted by each individual jurisdiction. But the city of Palm Springs, and for a political solution, for a practical solution on mitigating the odor, there is now a set of national standards that you'll be able to hinge all policy to and enforce through. These are proven technologies. These are the things that we've all been talking about for the last 2 years as far as mitigating the odors in Palm Springs and other jurisdictions. This is going to be a statewide mandate pretty soon, because we're talking with the Department of Cannabis Control as well about the same thing and moving on a state level. So right now, the standards will be published October 26th, and anytime the city of Palm Springs is happy to adopt those standards, there will be a published national standard for enforcement, monitoring, inspections, and design and verification of odor mitigation systems.
Did anyone have any questions for Jay at this time that they'd like to ask? Ms. Rick?
I'm just a little unclear on the new standards, how we'll be able to receive, how we can get our hands on what that looks like, what they are.
Oh, it will be free for download at acom-corp.com when it's available for release. The national standards are generally free for everybody to adhere to. So they will be, I did send a copy of the appendix that was issued today to Veronica. I'm hesitant to send it to the public just yet because it hasn't been adopted by the technical committees yet. But when it is approved, it will be available for public for free. It's not a for charge thing. And hey, if you don't mind, I'd like to speak to what you spoke to in public comment. I know we're not quite supposed to do that, but you made mention about a fee structure based on square footage. And I wanted to kind of make mention that not all cannabis projects from a licensing perspective are like that. There's significantly, probably most profitable ones are the manufacturing facilities, which tend to take up small amounts of square footage. So I would make sure you hinge it on tax basis, revenue, to physical size.
Very good point. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions at this time? I thank you, Jay, for being here. And I did want to let everybody, we are continuing to work to ensure that the projects that were permitted prior to the implementation of odor control requirements are corrected. It's something that we are working with 15,000 diligently on. Some of the projects are bigger than others, so they are taking some more time, but they must demonstrate to us that they are making those improvements. And I know Jay has physically gone to these sites and visit them to ensure that these corrections are being made. So yeah, we are continuing to do that, and we will keep everyone updated of any changes to what the standards that are adopted by the state are. At this time, I would like our subcommittee, any comments they feel free, who, I don't know which one would like to start, but they are here to meet with us and have comments for you.
Sure, I can start. Hi, everyone. Grace Gardner, council member for District 1. If after taking a closer look at any of the things that have been presented today, if you have more comments, then please do email us and we will take a look at the things we received. I know there's been a couple of things that I just got just right before this meeting, so I'll have to read those after, but I appreciate you all submitting them. But even though we don't have these meetings all the time, anytime you have any concerns about the industry and there's things that you want us to consider, you can always email us. And if there were a particular need to host an additional meeting, then we could. But if no one raises that there's a need, then we're going to kind of keep them on this quarterly basis. But otherwise, happy to do more, at least on my end. Dennis.
Thank you, Grace. Dennis Woods, District 2, right next to Grace's district. Yeah, I want to thank everyone for cooperating with us and working in a way that is best beneficial for both you as a business and for the residents to live here. I think it's a symbiotic relationship. We need to keep that going. There weren't many comments at the beginning of issues, so my assumption is things are running relatively smoothly. If they're not running smoothly, please get in touch with either Veronica, Grace, myself, or the city manager, the city attorney if you're having problems. But it seems like things are, we're maturing in this whole industry, and I think it's good for everybody. So that's my closing statement. Thank you.
Again, thank you everyone for being here. We are going to continue with our monthly newsletter. I believe everyone who's on this call does receive it. If there's anything that you'd like to see in that newsletter, please email. We are always looking for ways to improve the information that's passed on to you. And so we will have follow-up from today's meeting and this month's newsletter for you. And we look forward to hearing from you so that we can continue to make that newsletter beneficial to everyone and informational. With that being said, we will adjourn the meeting.
Well, Veronica, if I could, before you adjourn, could you just talk, I think that Joy had her hand up, and could you just talk about next steps?
Okay, so our next steps with regard to the regulation,
right, and with the odor regulations that are coming down from the feds, and how are we going to adapt it, or what are our next steps?
Our next step for the fine schedule that was proposed is that will be on the second meeting in October. So there will be additional time for you to reach out to our council members, and there will be time for you to make public comment at that meeting. So that would be only though for the fine schedule. With regard to the odor, I'll have Jay talk a little more on that. He's more familiar on what that implementation looks like at this time.
Jay, you're on mute.
All right, sorry about that. Between now and the release of the standards towards the end of October, we've actually been retained by the Palm Springs to begin our training and enforcement protocol training with the city. So part of what we'll be doing is going down to the city of Palm Springs and making sure that staff has the ability to recognize, evaluate, and see from an administrative point of view what you're looking for in an odor mitigation system and an odor control plan to ensure that it works. This, coupled with the enforcement and the monitoring set by national standards, will ensure that everybody moving forward has some sort of responsibility, or we will know where all of the applicants that are falling out of favor of the standards are. These are quantifiable efforts, and for us, in our perspective, we need to give a schedule to the city of Palm Springs for the next few weeks to go down there and begin with the training to be able to have a better understanding of what odor mitigation systems and odor control plans are physically supposed to do. That's our next step. Whereas kind of a big push for October 26th. And our hope is that the city of Palm Springs will adopt the standard and that applicants will just be required to follow the standard as others are.
Joy, you had your hand up?
Yes, please. A couple of things. I just did want to discuss very briefly the fact that there has been some considerable discussion amongst business merchants downtown, even though I am a cannabis license holder. There you go, Julie, mute it. Even though, God, I want to say that a long time. Even though I am a cannabis business owner, I also am a business owner downtown. And I also am president of Main Street. And from a Main Street perspective and some other groups that are meeting, there has been some question as to whether there will be any sort of a cap put on the number of cannabis businesses in the downtown and uptown area. Some of you certainly know, but some of you might not, that at one time they weren't allowed downtown at all. And then they were to be 3,000 feet apart, which would have meant like one in uptown, one in north downtown, one in south downtown. And then it became much more prolific in the business districts. And one of the negative impacts that it's had is that the rents have gone up quite a bit because some of the landlords are hoping to get cannabis businesses into their spaces. So I'm sure that you are aware that this is a little bit of an issue in the business district. And so I just wanted to bring that up. Also, I was wondering, sorry, lost my train of thought there for a minute. I was wondering, I know that we used to get a list that showed applicants and what the process, how far along they were in the process and such. And I haven't seen that recently. And I know that sometimes I have been asked about how many pending licenses there are in downtown. As a matter of fact, it's already come up from people that wanted on the Main Street agenda for tomorrow. And I don't have any of that kind of information any longer. So one thing, Veronica, you came to the Main Street meeting like last year and people really enjoyed having you there and just being able to ask you questions and, you know, not hear rumors, but hear it right from you to know what the facts were. So I'm hoping that maybe you'll come in October to our meeting, but in the meantime, I'm wondering, does that list still exist? And
I mean, absolutely.
am I just not getting it?
No, it absolutely
Did you guys just
does.
see?
No, but the interesting, and I'm probably sure none of you are aware, is in the last year, we've only had one new applicant. So we haven't had this large number of applicants anymore. I believe in 2020, we had 3, and so far to date, we've had 1 this year. So the number has gone down significantly. I'm going to email you the Palm Canyon list. I do have that updated. I can send that to you right after this meeting. And would love to go and chit chat with you guys anytime. Just let me know when.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Rick, did you have another question?
Real quickly, where's the after Zoom party at? We're gonna have, we gotta have a party one of these days with some cocktails in the background, even though I don't drink. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you, everyone. And again, happy to see you guys. Hopefully you'll be soon in person.
No cocktails at cannabis facilities.
That's true. Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.